your Professor Mega told me, briefing me about this program, is that there is going to be high energy around the team, around the students out here. That actually made my decision to come here absolutely easier. And in my interaction with the panelists here in the morning, I realized that there is a wealth of information lying here, high level of experience and exposure in their chosen field, whether it is finance, whether it is international business, marketing, and definitely my favorite, human resource functions. We want to make this session extremely interactive. This is your session. I am the moderator. I am on your side, in the sense that I will try my level best to take maximum out of the eminent panelists out here with your support. Do I have your support? Yes, sir. Fantastic. The way that we would like to structure is that I would be requesting, in the same order that they have been seated, to talk about maybe 5 minutes, and I will be very strict on that. Basically explaining the very importantly the experiences they have, because the introduction part is very well done by our MCs. Thank you very much. So they will be spending that 5 minutes each to talk about the core aspect of the function, right? Those will be the triggers for you to reflect on. You may not be able to take a very informed decision for your career move and feel motivated in the career decision if you do not clear your doubts. In order to do that, after the 5 minutes of explaining what they know, how they have accomplished what they have accomplished, etc., we will keep the forum open for you to ask questions, right? Those will be the important time for all of us to take full advantage of the experiences they have. So what is important here is that make the session extremely interactive. So before I pass on to Pankaj to talk about finance, I would like to let you know very important thing when you get into corporate life. Whatever be the field, whether it is finance, marketing, international business, etc., there are two things that you should be focusing on. The first and foremost is that you should be very strong in your communication. I call it a crackerjack communicator. That is the foundation of your success. And I have seen many successful leaders who had very basic understanding of their function, extremely doing very well and reaching the CEO levels because of that core competency. The second important thing you need to keep in mind, which I call myself, is a 212-degree attitude. A very powerful mantra, if you just follow that, will take you the level that you want to accomplish. 212-degree attitude is a very simple principle. It is all about the fact that you know that at 211 degree Fahrenheit, water gets a boiling point, right? The moment it touches 212 degree, the difference is just 1 degree Fahrenheit, steam comes out of it. The moment steam comes out of it, the locomotive engine start moving. If it doesn't touch 212 degree, the engine stands as it is there. The difference is just 1 degree. That is what is that extra effort required in your studies, in your corporate life. Just keep these two mantras in your mind. I have many things to share later on, but if you basically think about those two areas, communication, extra effort, sky is the limit. With that, Pankaj, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. Sebastian, I appreciate it. Sir, thank you for having us here. I appreciate the opportunity for all of us to be here and share our views on different industries. Faculty members and students, thank you for taking the time out to be here and hearing our views. Just to get things started, if I could just see a set of hands for who is in their first year of the BBA program, second year of the BBA program. Wow. Okay. Final year of the BBA. Got it. First year MBAs. Excellent. And final year MBAs. They're not here. Great. Hopefully they're all working very hard. This will hopefully make all our lives easier a little bit as well. People interested in finance? Okay. Marketing? Management? International business management. Sorry, international business and management. Okay. HR? Did I miss anything? Operations? Come on, nobody wants to be in operations. How will the company function if nobody is in operations? What will you do?
We have only three distinct: HR, marketing, and finance.
Ah, okay, got it. So no ops guys here, right?
Operations is a subject here taught, but it's not a specialty as such.
Understood. Anybody here want to be an entrepreneur? Start a business? Nobody wants to start a business. Maybe do a job for a few years, then maybe start a business at some stage. Okay, there we go. Great, thank you very much. So my responsibility here is to talk about finance, hopefully make it sound a little interesting, and then maybe convert some of those hands that went up for the other fields into finance. So I'll try and do my best. Hopefully I'm not going to send some people who are already interested in finance over to the other side. All these fields that we've spoken about are very well integrated. I don't think you can be a good finance person or a good marketing person if you're just a specialist in your own field. So very important, and this is a great forum. I wish we had an opportunity like this to hear different industries on the same panel and then ask questions and compare notes. So you guys are very fortunate to have this opportunity of just hearing different perspectives across the board. In terms of finance, most people who don't understand it too well think of it as a backward-looking function, i.e., once the financial results are out, what can we do in terms of analyzing those results and seeing where the company has reached and so on and so forth. The way I have always looked at finance is it starts right at the inception. Unless you plan and budget well, very difficult to set goals for a company, and then even more difficult to sort of make people accountable for those and then measure those. So the first and most critical part of the finance field is setting up the goals. Unless you understand the direction that a company is heading in, what industry it plays in, who's competition, what are your marketing strengths, what are your operating strengths, what is the real market opportunity, very difficult to set those goals. So the first real function of finance is the budget part of the process. Then in a company, the next part becomes the measurement of those results, right? So actual accounting and finance that happens, whether it's dealing with banks, credit lines, managing the finances of the business, getting funding into the business, making sure the payments, the salaries, all that kind of stuff is taken care of. That's also a very integral part of finance. And then finally is once those results are out and the company is done, so you have the special sauce which brings everything together in terms of all our skill sets, and the company is actually able to produce the results, then becomes the measurement part of those results, right? So once you've seen this is what we targeted in terms of revenue, this is what we targeted in terms of EBITDA, this is what we targeted in terms of profitability, and somebody goes in and analyzes those things and says, oh, we missed the target, we were on target, or we exceeded the target. That becomes a very crucial role. What I spent most of my career is in investment banking and private equity. So I used to be a banker for Goldman Sachs in New York. Anybody have an understanding of what investment banking is? Somebody knows this. Kuch to suna hoga, mergers, acquisition. Anybody know what a merger is? Could you please tell us what a merger is? Sure. So that very, very simplistic and good definition of what a merger and acquisition is. There was a very important transaction that got announced yesterday in the newspaper. Did anybody read the paper yesterday? Somebody read the newspaper. Kuch to padhte honge log. Economic Times, Times of India, sports section. industry-defining, path-breaking kind of merger that or acquisition that took place yesterday. Sun Pharmaceutical bought back Ranbaxy from Daiichi Sankyo. You know something about it, sir? Please tell us a little bit about it.
Over the Ranbaxy, over around 119 crore something.
For 119 crores. It was slightly more than that. It was about $4 billion enterprise valuation. But thank you. At least you read the papers. I appreciate it. Would you think that was a good acquisition? Sun Pharma buying, anybody think it was a good acquisition? Sun Pharma buying Ranbaxy? So Malvinder and Shivinder Singh sold off Ranbaxy in 2008 to Daiichi Sankyo for a $9 billion kind of enterprise valuation. Sun Pharma bought this company for $4 billion enterprise valuation yesterday. What happened to this company in 4 or 5 years? 6 years maybe. Any idea? Large scale destruction of value is what happened, right? So this is a core function of finance, trying to understand how do you value a business and then creating the dynamics for two companies to come together. So that happened in 2008 when Ranbaxy was sold over to Daiichi Sankyo, and then happened over the last few weeks where Dilip Shangvi, who runs Sun Pharmaceutical, ended up buying this business. Only time will tell whether it was a good acquisition or not. The way the stock prices are reacting, it's hard to really say at this current moment. So what investment bankers typically do is they facilitate companies to merge, to acquire, to raise capital. Anything that the promoter needs in terms of growing his business, in terms of capital, is what is arranged by an investment banker. So I spent a large percentage of my life doing that. Anybody familiar with private equity? Private equity, 2 words, you kind of merge them together. Any idea what it is? Somebody knows this. Should we be cold calling? So when you start a business, is it easy to finance businesses? No, very difficult, right? You typically rely on friends and family to raise some capital. You have some savings on your own. Do banks give you loans very easily? Very difficult, right? Because what do banks need when they give you a loan? Security, exactly, collateral. So it becomes very difficult, if you're an entrepreneur, very difficult to raise capital. So there is different stages of financing that are required by a business. So the first stage is kind of this friends and family, where you lean on your friends and family to raise some capital. Next is the seed round. You have some angel investors who come in and give you some capital. They bring you some advice. They sit on the board. They help you guide the company and so on and so forth. Then comes the venture capital kind of financing. A lot of these transactions that you read about in the papers these days, these are venture capital funded transactions. Anybody here use WhatsApp? Okay. Anybody know about a recent transaction that WhatsApp did? Exactly. You know what valuation they got sold at? $19 billion. Do you know how many people worked at that company? 32 engineers, 45 overall people in one office. Company got sold for $19 billion. Staggering. That is what venture capitalists do. They fund the right kind of companies that hopefully grow up to become the Sachins and Sehwags of the world, or the WhatsApps or the Googles and Apples of the world. So that is what a function of a venture capitalist is. Gives the right kind of capital, mind share, advice, connections, and so on and so forth. Private equity is at the much later stage, where more mature companies that are looking to grow raise capital. So I spent a lot of my time doing, brokering these transactions. Whether you're trying to raise some capital or one company buying another. So I'll stop at that. That's just a general kind of overview of the finance field and what I've done. And I'll pass on the mic.
Thank you, Pankaj. Actually, finance is a very vast subject. In fact, I was going through the list of things that Pankaj really wanted to talk about. It's about fund management, it's about finance risk management, a lot of things to talk about. I think corporate banking, wealth management, the area is so vast. I think from the group, from the students, when we do this open session, we would request you to ask very pertinent questions around that. With that, let me move to the next panelist. Shall we go in this order? Ron, would you like to take it over? Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure and privilege to be with you this morning. Thank you very much for the invitation, and a wonderful experience for us. I feel very humble sitting here with Mr. Sebastian, who probably knows more about human resources in India than I will ever know. My experience, or the experience I want to share with you, is probably more from an international perspective, having worked in many different countries, lectured, consulted, and run companies. How many of you folk think that human resource management is about being nice to people? Anyone put their hands up? Human resources is about the people stuff. It's about being good to people. It's about looking after people. Yeah? No? Yeah? Okay. I think that's probably the first myth that I want to shatter. Human resource management, the definition of human resource management is changing dramatically. Human resource management used to be about hiring and firing and doing the payroll and doing the transactions and checking who's at work and who's not at work and all those fine things. That is yesterday's world of human resources. The future of human resources, and I'm really excited that a lot of people wanting to get into it, is really about getting in touch with the business, about understanding the business, and really about adding value to the business through developing the capability of people, through engaging people in work. But at the end of the day, human resource management is about adding value to the business. It's not about all the fluffy stuff of, yes, being nice and all the rest of it. Sure, that helps. What we're seeing globally is that there is huge demand for human resource, really good, effective human resource management. We live in such a rapidly changing, competitive, crazy world, where technology has advanced amazingly. One of the things that is happening in the world around us, amidst all the technology and change that is happening, we can duplicate technology easily. One of the things that we cannot duplicate anywhere in the world is this thing that we call organization culture. How organizations engage people, motivate people, get them on site, serve our customers well, and create wealth. So we're moving very rapidly in that direction of forget about the old traditional things that human resource management are doing. Yes, sure, they'll still have to be done there, but it really is about future focus, about creating value for the business. Many of the clients that I speak to here in India and also in other countries that I work in, that while the importance of human resource management has been acknowledged, one of the huge challenges is that the quality of human resource management is shocking. Many human resource people live in splendid isolation of the business. They do not know what is happening in the business. There is this cry for, we should be recognized around the boardroom table. Well, yes, if human resource management was adding value to the business, they would. So that is one of the big challenges that you find thinking of heading into human resource management need to take on board. It's about helping businesses be successful. It's about growth. It's about profitability through utilizing the human capital that we have. I'd like to share with you, let me ask a question. The people that have in human resource management, have you looked at the employee engagement research that's been published quite recently? The Gallup polls, the Buckingham research, etc., around employee engagement. Has anyone seen that? No? Hey, that's something you really ought to want to be seeing. Do you realize that from the research that's been done, and this was late last year, it included India, that only, I think the figures were, only 15 to 20% of people employed in organizations are actively engaged in that organization. What we mean by actively engaged, if they have any discretionary time, it would be invested in furthering the interests. What percentage of people do you think were actively disengaged? They were really grumpy with the organization. They were actually sabotaging a lot of the work that the really engaged people were doing. What percentage do you think that was? Please, I'm looking for an answer. Can't hear you? It's real lonely up here. Sorry? Give me a guess. Folks, if you're looking at getting into the human resource management field, trust me, this is the sort of information and research that you should have on your fingertips. Okay? What the research showed, that around about 25% of people in organizations were actively disengaged. They hated their organizations, they didn't like their work. The balance of 50-60% were neutral. They didn't really enjoy going to work, but they didn't really hate going to work. What does this mean in terms of the productivity of those people? How productive do you think organizations are if we're looking at 25% of people are really grumpy and disengaged, and there's probably another 50% that are not terribly excited about their jobs. What implications, folks? Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious. So, this is what I mean in terms of human resource management. Being engaged in the business, adding value to the organization through things like managing performance, through developing leadership capability, through better problem solving, through engaging people, developing high performance teams. This is where human resource management is moving, and this is where you need to be moving as well. My last, concluding comment is many of the organizations that we talk with, one of the huge challenges in employing new people is these people do not ask questions, they wait to be told what to do. Please take the initiative, add value, use the wonderful capabilities that you have to get stuck in and make things happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you very much. Let me. In fact, I just wanted to share this thing with you. Basically, many years back, when we ask business leaders or the employees on how do they see HRD as a function, used to be like that. Now, I remember people saying that, "Hum rahenge dur," HRD. "Hum rahenge dur." That is the kind of perception carried by people. That's the kind of perception carried by people when we talk about HR as a function, versus in the last 3-4 months back, I was having a very detailed dialogue with one of the CEOs of a very established organization, asking the idea around human resource, the way that he would be looking at human resource as a function. It was a very, very revealing information which came up, saying that for a company, human resource is a function very next to the CEO. And a human resource professional should be a combination of finance, supply chain management, operations, marketing, you name it, all the functions that you can think of, because if the human resource professionals do not understand the business and the functions, what value they could add to the organization. So there is a different way of looking at human resource as a function, very powerful, and all my fellow panelists will agree that when it comes to people, it's not the responsibility of human resource people to manage people, but enable the managers to manage the people. How do they manage? How do you enable the managers, human resource professionals, manage the managers to manage people? So we will have a lot of questions around for you on behalf of the students. I'm sure that you will be sharing more. May I move to Vikram? Vikram, you will be talking about. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. My name is Vikram. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you to the Dean and to Ty for giving us this opportunity. If it's okay, I'll just walk around a little bit. When we had that show of hands in the beginning, I was just saying international business, not a whole lot of hands. How many people know sort of what international business means? Anybody? I can come to you with the mic. Anybody? Yeah. Okay, you have an idea? All right. Go ahead.
International business means which internationally business is conducted, and all the international transactions and trading, which is
Yeah, okay, good. So you picked up on some points. Trading is important, cross-border, trade, export, regulations, things like that. Where do you think international business professionals are most required? Anybody?
MNCs.
Right.
Okay. So MNCs could be companies that are overseas companies operating in India. It could be Indian companies operating overseas. Sorry? Somebody said something? Okay, there's one other category which you probably not thought about, which anything? There's one other category, actually that's where I started my career, and that is large NGOs, for example, the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, places like that, which is typically where students, I don't think of international business. I started my career at an agency called the International Trade Center, which was sort of a branch of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development and the WTO. So our job primarily was to facilitate and enhance international trade between countries, promote exports, things like that. So international trade, international business is a very sort of an up-and-coming field. I mean, it's been around for a while. The terminology has been around for a while. People are somewhat familiar with what is involved. It does involve a whole lot of expertise. So, you could be a specialist in finance, you could